Hello, Professor. We are Group 3. Have you ever wondered why companies like Coca-Cola, Apple, or Shopee seem to know exactly what we want? Sometimes even before we realize it ourselves, the secret lies in the way they collect and manage marketing information. In today's section, we will discuss Chapter 4, Managing Marketing Information to Gain Customer Insights. This chapter is about how businesses gather data, analyze data, and turn it into value insights that help them make smarter decisions, create better strategies, and build stronger relationships with customers. Our group has six members: Minh, Nhật, Khang, Minh, Phúc, Thanh, Huyền, Diễm, Hương, and Việt.
Sure, the first of all is learning objective 4.1. It's about marketing information and customer insights. Customer insights are fresh marketing information based understandings of customers and the marketplace that become the basis for creating customer value, engagement, and relationships. One example from customer insights from Starbucks. Starbucks realized that customers not only come to buy coffee to drink, but they also want a third place outside of home and work to relax, study, and make friends. Customer insights are valuable understanding the customer needs and wants. They are important but hard to obtain because motives are not always obvious and customers often cannot clearly explain what they want or why. Gaining better data and using existing information more effectively helps uncover these insights. In managing marketing information, many companies have created customer insights teams. These teams bring together different functional areas and collect data from various sources with the goal of turning that information into real value for customers. At the same time, we have the marketing information system or MIS. This is a system of people and processes dedicated to answering information needs, developing the necessary data, and helping managers use that information to generate actionable customer and market insights. This is the marketing information system model. First, the company must assess information needs, then the needed information is developed through three main sources: internal databases, marketing intelligence, and marketing research. Next, the information is analyzed and used to create customer and market insights for marketing managers. Finally, the whole system is connected to the marketing environment, including target market channels, competitors, publics, and macro forces.
This is Learning Objective 4.2, which is studying, assessing information need, and developing data. For the first understanding, we have to know what a marketing information system. That is, the system served by manager provide information inside company but also external partner. And the goal is to provide the right information in the right time and in the right form, which have several challenges. Balance between what manager want and what they really need. Too much or too little is can be harmful, and you must consider cost versus value of information. There are three sort of information. First one is internal data, which is company record of internal information. Process is quick and low cost, and cost is maybe outdated, incomplete, or hard to manage. The second source of information is competitive marketing intelligence, which is information come from competitor, consumer, and marketplace. Those are external informations, and the benefit is help you get early warning and opportunity and threat to improve strategic decision, concern, and specific question. Step by step, we have to do is define the problem in research objective, develop and research plan, collect and analyze the data. Lastly, is interpret and report findings. The real challenge is not finding data, but identifying the right data to turn it into insight. That's what is big data and customer insight require. Companies use insight to improve product and marketing to customer engagement and competitiveness. A famous case example is Thailand Coffee in Vietnam. They actively monitor in Facebook, Instagram, and updated the trend in Vietnam. They gained an insight, noticed that young people in big city were posting a lot about cafe game show và thuốc lá say, so they focused on about it and they have success in their marketing campaigns.
Today, I will explain learning objective 3, objective 4, the four steps in the marketing research process. Step 1 is defining the problem and research objectives. This means under identifying exactly what we want. Marketers must carefully identify the problem and decide what type of research is needed. We have three types. First one is exploratory research, which basically gathers preliminary information to define problems. Second is descriptive research, describe things such as market potential or demographics. Last one is causal research, basically test the cause and effect relationship. Moving on with step two is developing the research plan. Here, we decide what information is needed, what data sources do we use, like secondary or primary, and how to design the sample and research instruments like surveys or questionnaire. Step 3 is implementing the plan. This is for collecting, processing, and analyzing the data. It's where practical challenges like cost, bias, or accuracy can appear. Step 4, the last one, is interpreting the reporting, the findings. And finally, we will draw conclusions and turn the data insights into insights that managers can actually use to make decisions. Now let's take a look at a simple example. Imagine a coffee shop planning to launch a pumpkin spice latte. In step 1, the problem is will customer like it and how much are they willing to pay. In step 2, the shop design a survey and focus group and decides to sample around like 200 customers. In step 3, they collect feedbacks from customers who taste the drink. In the last step, they find that 7% of the people like it and most are willing to pay it around $5, and different age groups prefer different sweetness level. So the final decision that the managers do would probably launch the drink at the cost of $5 and also give them two sugar options. In short, the process goes define, plan, implement, and interpret, turning data into smart marketing decisions.
Customer Relationship Management, or CRM, is about collecting information from all possible customer touchpoints, such as purchase, customer service interaction, and even social media activity. By bringing these pieces together, the company can build a 360-degree view of each customer. With this complete picture, businesses are able to personalize their marketing message, improve customer service, and create long-term relationships based on trust and satisfaction. In short, CRM helps companies move from simply making sales to truly engaging and retaining their customer. Today, businesses face massive amounts of data coming from transactions, online behavior, and many other sources. On their own, these numbers mean very little. Big data and marketing analytics tools are used to process these informations, discover hidden patterns, and predict customer trends. For example, analytics can reveal which products are most popular with certain customer groups or forecast the future buying behavior. With these insights, managers can adjust their strategies, allocate resources more effectively, and measure the real impact of their marketing activities. However, marketing information is only valuable if it is delivered to the right person at the right times. Companies need systems such as dashboard, intranets, or mobile platform that provide manager with real-time access to the insights. This allows them to make both routine decisions like tracking sales or urgent decisions such as responding quickly to the competitor actions. By analyzing, distributing, and applying marketing information effectively, company can design smarter strategies, strengthen the customer relationships, and ultimately gain a strong competitive advantage in the marketplace.
In this part, I will cover Learning Objective 4.5, which focuses on some other consideration in managing marketing information. First, marketing research isn't just for big corporations. Even small business and non-profits can benefit. They may not have large budgets, but they can still gather insights through low-cost methods like taking directly with customer, analyzing secondary data, or using online survey. The key point is good information is possible without spending millions. Second, when the company operates globally, research becomes more complex. They face barriers such as cultural differences, language, and inconsistent data quality across countries. To succeed, they need to adapt their research method to each local market while still keeping research consistent enough to compare internationally. Finally, there are important ethical considerations. Two major concerns are consumer privacy, when people are worried about their personal data is being collected and used, and misuse of research findings, which are manipulating results or using research in deceptive way damage trust. That's why companies must follow ethical guidelines, respect privacy laws, and always be transparent. Doing so not only avoid legal trouble, but also build long-term customer trust.
We're Group 3 and today we will present Chapter 5 Consumer Markets and Buyer Behavior. In marketing, we often talk about the four P's: product, price, place, and promotion. But all of these strategies revolve around one central point. This is the consumer. A company may invest heavily in advertising, discounts, and product development. But if it does not truly understand what customers want and why they make purchasing decisions, then our efforts may fail to deliver results. That is why studying consumer markets and buyer behavior is one of the most important aspects of marketing. It not only helps businesses identify who their target customers are, but also explains what motivates them to buy, which factors influence their decisions, and how they respond to different marketing strategies. My group has six members is Minh, Nhật, Khang, Minh, Phúc, Thanh, Huyền, Diễm, Hương, and Việt Anh.
Think about how people decide to buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Some customers stop by every morning on the way to work because it's a part of their routine. Others come occasionally to enjoy the cafe atmosphere or to try new seasonal drinks. Their choices are influenced by cultural factors, social factors, personal and psychological factors. Even though the product is the same coffee, the motivation, influence, and decision-making process behind each purchase are different. This is exactly what Chapter 5 is about, understanding what drives customers. Now let's look at business buyer behavior. Tesla needs large quantities of batteries for its electric vehicles. It doesn't just pick suppliers casually. The decision involves long negotiation, technical evaluation, cost analysis, and strategic partnership. Tesla partnered with Panasonic to build its Gigafactory. This was not a simple purchase, but a strategic decision involved many participants like engineer, um, financial expert, supply chain manager, and executive on both sides. This shows how business buyer decisions are often more complex, involve multiple people, and focus on long-term value rather than quick purchases. Again, this is what Chapter 5 us want to help us to understand.
Hello, Professor. Today I will talk about learning objective 5.1. First, we are going to discuss consumer buyer behavior and markets. Now, let's move on to the consumer buyer behavior. Refers to the buying behavior of individuals and households. It is about purchasing goods and services, mainly for personal use rather than for business purposes. Second, consumer markets include all individuals and households. They buy or acquire goods and services for personal consumption. To make it simple, when we go shopping at a supermarket, buy clothes, food, or entertainment services for ourselves and our family, that is an example of consumer buyer behavior in consumer markets. Let's continue with model of buyer behavior. Firstly, the environment affects consumers through marketing factors like product, price, place, promotion, and also economic, social, cultural, and technological factors. Next, this information enters the buyer black box, which means their characteristic and decision-making process. And finally, it leads to buyer responses such as attitudes, purchase behavior, and brand loyalty.
Hello, welcome to Learning Objective 5.2. Now I'm going to talk about characteristics affecting customer behavior. There are four main points that affect customer behavior is cultural factors, personal factors, psychological factors, and social factors. First of all is cultural factors. Culture is things that shape values and basic behavior based on where you come from, for example, like country or nation. And subculture is smaller group, and social class is different in occupation, education, and background. For example, like northern consumer prefer strong coffee, while southern prefer iced coffee. The second one is social factors. Some preference group like friend, college, influencer, and family that have a strong influence on your habit. Also with role and status that often reflect social position, word of mouth, and network. For example, many people buy iPhone 17 not for its features, but also due to peer pressure, FOMO, and KOL influence. Third one is personal factors, include different in age, life cycle, occupation, lifestyle, habits, personality. For example, office worker often choose takeaway coffee, while students prefer low-cost coffee to hang out. The last one is psychological factors, which is motivation, perception, learning, experience, belief, and attitude that affect the personal consumer decision. Example like Vietnamese people trust Vinamilk as a long-term loyalty.
Today, I'm going to talk about chapter 3 of chapter 5, consumer markets and buyer behavior. Let's start with the types of buying decision behavior. There are four of them, and each one depends on how evolved the buyer feels and how different the brands appear to be. The first is complex buying behavior. This happens when the product is expensive or very important, and the consumers see big differences among the brand. For example, think of buying a car. Most people spend a lot of time comparing Toyota, Honda, or Ford before making a choice. The second type is dissonance reducing buying behavior. Here, involvement is still high, but the brands look very similar. For instance, imagine buy floor tiles for your house. It's a big decision, but most tile brands look and feel the same, so the buyer may purchase quickly and then feel some uncertainty afterward. The third type is habitual buying behavior. In this case, involvement is very low and there's only small differences between the brands. And finally, there's the variety seeking behind behavior. This happens when involvement is low, but there are noticeable brand differences. Take like buying snacks like chips, for example. A person might buy Lay's one week and Pringles the next, not because they are unhappy, but simply for variety. Now, let's move to the five stages in the buyer decision process. The first stage is need recognitions. Imagine a student realizing that their own smartphone doesn't work properly anymore. The second stage is the information research, where they start looking for options online, watching reviews, and asking friends. Then comes the evaluations of alternatives when they compare features such as price, battery life, and camera quality across different brands. The fourth stage is the purchase decision itself. The student decide to buy a Samsung Galaxy. Finally, we have post-purchase behavior, where the buyer reflects on their choice. If they are happy with the phone, they may feel loyal to the brand. If they are disappointed, they might regret on the decisions later. So in the conclusions of chapter 3, explain that buyers don't all behave the same way. Sometimes they make quick decisions out of habit and sometimes they carefully weigh their options. But in general, most buying decisions follow five main stages. For marketers to understand these behavior is key to influencing on how customers choose their products. Thank you.
Selection process shows how individual consumers decide to accept the new products. It moves through five stages: awareness when people first hear about the products, interest when they look for more details, evaluations when they are consider whether it's worth trying, trial when they are test it a small scale, and finally adoptions when they decide to make it part of their routine. This step-by-step process helps the marketer understand how consumer move from curiosity to loyalty. Diffusions describe how a new product spreads across societies. Not everyone adopts the same time. Innovator as risk taker who try first. Early adopters are respected. Opinion leaders who influence others. The early majority adopt more carefully, while the late majority are skeptical and wait until most people already use it. Fairly larger adopt last often only when the product is nearly outdated. Knowing these groups helps companies target their marketing at the right time. The speed of adoption depends on several factors. A product spreads faster if it has a clear relative advantages over existing solutions. If it matches customer needs and values, and if it's simple to use, it also helps the products can be tested in small steps. And when its benefits are easy to observe or explain to others, these factors determine whether a new product becomes a quick success or struggle to gain acceptance.